Well, welcome to episode 1, season 3,
3.
Geraldine, of
Wow.
Lawfully Yours. How are
Who'd have
you?
thought? I'm hot.
Yes, me too. Yeah. I'm Vickki Ridgway.
I'm Geraldine Watson.
Welcome
Family
to
solicitor.
Lawfully Yours. Yeah, just the branded shirts there. Massive shout out to Somerset Workwear who did the branded
Very
shirts
nice.
for us. Yeah,
Good
it's
quality.
cool. It is, isn't it? And shout out in particular to Hannah Snow who did the design for us. Yeah, it just happens to be my
That's
sister.
nice.
But
Oh,
oh,
is she?
yeah.
That's a lovely name, Hannah Snow.
Go.
Really like that name.
There you go, Hannah.
Hannah. I like that. Isn't it though? Snow.
Yeah.
I like that name. Anyway. Must
Anyway,
be cool in the hot weather.
God, the hot weather. I mean, by the time this goes out, what was it, end of July? I think this is going to go out, isn't it? So
Yeah.
we'll
Still
probably
be hot.
Well, yeah, either that or it's going to be pissing it down a rain, and this is going to be a distant memory.
Yeah.
But there you go. There you go. So,
yes, season
3 already.
We've got a lot to look forward to,
We have,
haven't we?
Before we do that, let's talk about season 2.
Oh my gosh.
Because it was a bit of a whirlwind, wasn't it? We had some fabulous guests on.
We
Who
did.
was your favourite?
I'm just looking because I don't know.
I don't think I can pick a particular favourite person. I think there are lots of moments and discussions that we had that really kind of resonated with me, made me laugh, made me think really deeply.
Yeah.
I think Matt Tomeo, he was
About the
the
adoption.
local council and he'd adopted his son. That really touched me, and that what they've been through to get their son. And the challenges that they continue to face, and absolute admiration.
What I remember about that one, really weird, when I spoke about the washing machine, where I couldn't take, I was mesmerised by the washing machine, and he actually said that's to do with your emotional regulation.
Yeah.
I was like, wow.
Yeah. Wasn't that the episode that we took in the Kama Sutra as well? Didn't I find the Kama Sutra on the shelf?
Yeah, I think it was actually. Yeah.
Yeah, wow. Wow. I think Peter Blexley as well was.
Yeah. He was interested.
His backstory, and you see it all on the TV, don't you? And you don't think that it's real.
Yeah.
But to actually hear him speak and hear about everything,
it was really interesting.
Yeah, yeah. And I think
it's scary.
Yeah, I think similarly with Hasina Reshmawala.
Yes.
Her backstory, what she's been through, and how she's using that to her advantage now to project going forward. I think it's incredible.
Yeah. I mean, like, there's so many to choose from, isn't there? I mean, Zainab. She had a lot of stories.
Yeah, she had a lot to say.
She did have a lot to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. She was in. And Christian and Natalie.
Absolutely, yeah, from Wedding Valley Legal.
They had a lot informative
absolutely
things to tell us about, didn't they? So
it's been an incredible season. And this season we've got some guests lined up, but we thought because obviously the title of the pod is Lawfully Yours, and the aim is to get the law, information about the law out there in an easy to understand way, but keeping it light and keeping it fun. And I think we've said this before, sometimes I think we lose focus of that. So the aim for season 3 is to put a lot more legal content, again, keeping it light and fun, put a lot more legal content in the pod. And guys, we really need your help. We need more listener participation.
Yeah.
So our email address is lawfullyyourspod@gmail.com. Send us any questions that you have, any ideas that you might have for the pod, any guests that you think might be interesting, any particular topics from a family law point of view and a litigation point of view, or any legal topic, really, because I guess we can get a guest in to answer those questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, we really, really need
more
your help.
That, I think.
Yeah. We have got, so in season 1 we had a live, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
Here at the studio where we're recording Countersthorpe in Leicester. And whilst it was a bit squeaky bum,
so much fun.
We had a lot of fun, didn't we?
Yes.
I think we had some great feedback on that. So we thought we'd do another, and that's scheduled for the 8th of October, which I believe is a Thursday. We will put more out about this as the season continues, and on our social media and stuff. But we've got going to switch it up a little bit for that, aren't we?
Yes.
Make it a little bit different, but on the same line sort of thing.
Yeah, everyone seemed to enjoy it, didn't they?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we
So
thought we'd do
a
another
bit of
one.
networking, live recording of the pod, and a bit more networking, a bit of drinking, maybe a bit of drinking, maybe a bit of nibbles.
Bit of nibbles.
Yeah, a bit of gossip and all that. So yeah, all exciting stuff for season 3.
It is.
Really exciting.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah. Have you got any jazzers this week?
No jazzers.
You
I
are
know. I must be
joking.
growing up.
No, don't ever do that.
Okay.
Don't ever
Have
do
you?
that. I was thinking I've got a historical one.
Okay.
It is quite funny, but it's typically me.
Go on then.
So TMI maybe, but I've got a mole on my boob.
Okay. Yeah, definitely TMI.
Yeah, but anyway, had it for as long as I can remember. And then you see all the media and things about mole, get your moles checked.
Yeah.
So our GP surgery has got an email address where you can send photos and stuff, and with a request for the GP to consider it. So I thought, right, okay, I'm going to do this. So I took a picture. You couldn't tell it was my boob, to be fair.
Okay.
I don't think. Anyway, took a picture, emailed it to the GP surgery and said, I've had this for years. Just want to get it checked out. Do you think I need to come in and have it looked at, or are you happy with the photograph? Never had a reply or anything. I thought, how bloody rude. So I rang the GP surgery and asked them, said, oh, we haven't received an email. I said, well, can I check the email address?
Oh my God.
Anyway, I realised that I'd sent it to a different GP surgery in Glenfield and not to my own GP. So
I thought you were going to say you sent it to some random person or something.
No, so literally, I do apologise.
Well, did they not get back to you? They could have at least
They probably just sent my boob all around the
Yeah, you were all everywhere now. You're in the, is it in the cloud?
Absolutely. So yeah.
Oh, bless you.
But my mole on my boob is fine.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
But yeah, it was yeah. So that's my typical. I've done similar things to that on several occasions, but we'll save those for another episode. I think we could do a whole episode of jazzers.
That's definitely something I would have done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's yeah. So
oh bless you.
So we're going to talk a bit about the law today.
Well, I haven't got a jezza, but I just do want to mention one thing. It's not a jezza though.
Oh, go on.
But it's like I used to love paint by numbers.
Okay.
When I was a child.
I do adult ones. I mean, not like adult, but adults anyway.
For adults.
Yes.
Yeah. So I thought, because I work a lot in the evenings, I thought I want to try and get away from working constantly. So I thought, and I saw it was in a shop. I was away somewhere and I saw this shop and they had paint by numbers. So I got one, right? So from memory, paint by numbers is obviously you got the paints, you got the numbers and it tells you what to do. So I thought, okay, great. So I bought it, unwrapped it. Oh my God. Do you know how tiny the numbers were? And they're intermingled. I know. But some of the numbers are intermingled. So you've got to do like a blue and a white so you get a different shade of it. That's not how I remember paint by numbers.
Maybe you should have got one for like 3 and above.
I think I should have done, absolutely. So I was like started it and I was going,
Yeah, maybe. I mean, we know the story about the hearing aids. You did go and have them and you sent them back, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Didn't like them.
Yes.
So, but maybe you do need to have
honestly
eyes tested.
It's just wow.
You'll be there with the magnifying glass and the little brush like that. Yeah, that's a sign that you need to go to Specsavers, love.
No, I'm not going there.
Other opticians are available.
Again.
So, can I speak now?
Yes, you can.
So, I wanted to talk about a Court of Appeal decision, which effectively resulted in me undertaking some further study.
Not just you.
Not just me. That I never thought I would do. So the decision I'm talking about is called Monsieur, and the original decision it focused around whether unauthorized persons can conduct litigation, and there's a definition of authorized persons under the Legal Services Act 2007. And as a Silex lawyer, so qualified lawyer since 2004, as along with many others, we it appears wrongly at the time, considered that we were authorised people. Doesn't mean that we've done anything wrong, because obviously we work under the umbrella of solicitors who are regulated and authorised. But essentially, the original decision was that Silex lawyers, and that's historical, so legacy Silex lawyers. What I mean by that is, I took my exams, as I qualified in 2004. They've changed the structure of the exams and things now for new Silex lawyers coming through, so that they actually have this additional right
Yeah.
within their qualification.
Yeah.
So those of us that were in the position where we didn't have these practice rights had to make a decision, pending the appeal, as to whether we were going to actually go down the route of getting these practice rights, or whether we were going to continue as we were, which meant that we could conduct litigation under the supervision of someone who was authorised. So I thought long and hard about it, and whilst on a day-to-day basis not having the practice rights wouldn't have affected what I could do, I saw it as an opportunity to, I think, having that additional ability, it can only be a benefit,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Um,
Because we're always learning anyway, aren't we?
Absolutely. And obviously, as lawyers, we have to do continual professional development, just to make sure we're up to date, etc. So anyway, um, the assessment, I think the fact that it is an assessment fills me with dread.
Really?
Yeah, the fact that it was at like an exam situation, so it involved you got the information beforehand, so you
Like
could
a
prepare.
case study
Yeah,
or something.
you could prepare for it, and you were told what you needed to advise the client on, um, and you basically, it was an online video interview with the assessor.
Okay.
I do this every day,
Yeah.
Geraldine. You have meetings with clients every single day. You tell them about the law. You tell them what can and cannot happen, what the potential outcome is. But the thought of it being an assessment, but it was fine. It was fine. I prepared. Again, we always say prior preparation prevents piss poor performance. So I prepared. I knew the case. You were able to have your notes with you, so you could refer. And then the second part of the assessment was a multiple choice question, 45 questions, and you had 90 minutes. And it was basically on litigation,
Yeah.
civil litigation. But it would include areas that I haven't necessarily come across before, and then others that were very familiar to me. And I passed, and I passed well. Um, and even though it hasn't made a difference to what I can do, the fact that, one, I had that refresher, two, that little imposter syndrome that sits here was like, okay, you do know what you're doing. I think we all have those days.
Yeah.
Anyway, the good news is, I have now my litigation practice rights, but the Court of Appeal actually overturned the decision that Silex lawyers, they're not able to carry out litigation, but they can now, and it remains under supervision. You have, unless you're a regulated firm. But yeah, so Silex lawyers can now say that they are authorised, and they have, if they have those practice rights, and it doesn't mean that any work that they've done is illegal, essentially.
But it was a scary time,
It
though,
was,
wasn't
because
it?
the original decision was effectively saying that if you have held yourself out to be a legal representative in accordance with the Legal Services Act, it's a criminal offence.
Wow.
And it's like, shit.
Yeah.
I mean, it for Silex lawyers, it was the most incredibly stressful time. People lost their jobs.
Really?
Yeah. That
Wow.
their mental health was affected.
Oh my God.
And for me, yes, it was a scary time. The firms that we work with were very, very supportive.
Well, they didn't want to lose you, really,
No,
did they? So,
and they know that you're doing a good job, you know what you're doing, so they're very supportive. But it knocked my confidence, and it's like, well, am I good enough? Do I know what I'm doing?
Yeah.
So I think my message to anybody, whether you're lawyers or not, and you find yourself in a situation where you're having to do something that's outside your comfort zone, I found the worrying about it was much worse than the actual doing. And just think about the benefits that it brings to you. I learned stuff whilst I was doing the assessment that I didn't know because I hadn't had to apply it.
Yeah.
But it's useful information to know.
Yeah. Did your clients say anything? Like, were they aware?
No, it didn't seem to be. It didn't affect any of the cases I was working on or concern any of the clients or anything like that.
Because I suppose some might have tried to use it to their advantage.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, but no,
That didn't
thankfully,
happen.
because again, they know they've got a good lawyer, they know they've got good legal representation. That I guess the only time that might become an issue or might have been an issue is if you'd had somebody that was complaining, for
Yeah.
example, about your service.
Yeah.
But thankfully, and
That
touch
didn't
wood,
happen. Yeah.
yeah. So, but yeah, I just see it now as another string to my bow, and I would encourage anybody in that position, even now there's been the Court of Appeal decision that's overturned the original decision, do it. Do it because it's a refresher. Yes, you have to pay for it, but Silex do offer some help for those that are not able to afford it. And yeah, it's a boost.
Yeah.
It is a
Yeah.
boost.
So you've turned a negative into a positive.
Yeah, difficult.
Yeah.
It was difficult,
Yeah.
I have to say.
Yeah.
But thankfully, it's turned out right.
Yeah. That's
So
good.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you? Have you got some family law
So,
info to
yes.
tell us about?
So, I mean, I've been doing this job nearly, say it's got to be like 20 years now.
No,
Qualified in
you don't.
2000.
How old enough?
And people still, I find it strange that people still don't know what family law is. So people will say, do you do this?
Yeah.
Do you do that? And I'm like, well, that's family law. So I thought I would take it right back to basics.
Okay.
And explain family law.
Yeah.
Obviously, I can't do it all in one go because there's too much.
I mean, you need a whole season, really.
Honestly, yeah. So I will do snapshots of it, I think.
Okay.
So I think the easiest way to explain it is family law is the umbrella terminology for the following.
Okay.
So family law. So what is family law? So family law governs the legal relationships such as marriage, divorce, then things associated with that, such as the children, the finances, domestic abuse, unmarried couples, and grandparents.
Okay.
So that's family law deals. So if you fall into that any of those categories, it's family law.
Okay.
That's the thing to remember. So going right back to basics, when you look at marriage, people just think, oh, I'll get married. But there's certain criteria to make a marriage valid.
Yeah.
So you must be 18.
I thought it was 16.
I know a lot of people think that. So it's always been you have to be 18.
Right.
And then with parental consent,
Yes.
you could get married from the age of 16.
Okay.
That is only in Scotland.
Is it really? So
Yes.
that changed?
So that changed and I did have the date, but I think it was
Okay.
2000 and it was not long ago. I should have got
Okay.
the date. So yes, that changed.
Okay.
Probably about 6 months, a year ago. I'd have to check.
Okay.
It's always only ever been 18. But
Okay.
in Scotland, you can get married now with parental consent from the age of 16, but only Scotland.
Okay.
That's the first thing to remember.
I've got a question for you. Do you want me to ask it now?
Yeah?
So was it Tommy Fury's
Daughter.
Does she live in Scotland?
She must have got married in Scotland.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you cannot
She
get
was only
married
16.
in
I
8.
can't imagine wanting to get married at 16.
I know. I can't think of anything worse.
No. Anyway.
But some people also have civil ceremonies, not the legal ceremonies. So I suppose you could do what you want with that because
Yeah.
it's civil, as long as it fits in with your culture.
Yeah.
You must be free to marry,
Okay.
which means you obviously know
Not all
duress
married,
and
yeah.
stuff like that.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Under duress, which I'll come into in a moment. And then you cannot already legally be married.
Okay.
So therefore you're committing bigamy.
Yeah.
So there's the 3 criteria of a
Okay.
valid marriage.
Okay.
Overseas marriage are valid
Okay.
if they're recognised in that country. So a lot of people
in that country.
in that country.
Okay.
So a lot of people go abroad to get married,
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
they?
yeah.
And each country has their own criteria. Some places you have to be resident for 28 days. Some you
Okay.
have to be resident for 7 days. You have to contact their local town hall. So if the marriage is valid in that country, then in the UK, it recognises it as a valid marriage.
Okay.
That's
So so when some people get married abroad, but then they get married here as well, or they get married here first and then go abroad to get married, is that because that country
it could
doesn't
be that it's
recognise?
different. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'd imagine like your European countries like France, Spain, etc. There's no
Yeah.
problems and
Yeah.
that. But your, I suppose, more obscure countries, if it's not legally
Just have understood.
recognised here, then that's why they would do it here as well.
Okay.
Um, so you can have void and voidable marriages.
Yeah.
So a void marriage means effectively you got married, but there was something wrong. But then we're saying that actually, because it's void, that marriage never took
Never
place
took
in the
place.
first place.
Okay.
It's just void if it doesn't meet those requirements.
Okay. Another question.
Yep.
So at the back of my head, I've got something about if you don't consummate the marriage.
Yeah, so that's a voidable marriage.
Right.
So a marriage is
Okay.
void if it doesn't meet the criteria.
Okay.
A marriage can become voidable, which
Yeah.
means you need to have it annulled.
Okay.
And those circumstances, if the marriage satisfies the requirements, but then isn't valid because either the parties are married, so like cousins, siblings, if they got married,
Okay.
then it's a voidable marriage because you can't
Yeah.
marry certain relations.
Okay.
If you were forced, so if there was duress,
Okay.
then it can become an avoidable marriage, so therefore you can get it annulled, because if you're under duress, you didn't consent, or you do not have the capacity
Okay.
to consent. So they're all criteria for the marriage to be annulled.
Okay.
Talking about the under duress,
Mm.
that brings me on to the forced marriage, which
Okay.
again could be a whole nother topic.
Yeah, yeah.
All I want to say about that is if there's anybody out there that is having to be forced to get married, or if you know someone, then I'm going to give the details, the contact telephone numbers for the people to contact. So if
Okay.
you know someone that you think is being forced into marriage, or you yourself are being forced into marriage, you must take action immediately. So you can contact this number. It's 020 7008 0151. That's Monday to Friday, 9 till 5. The out of hours number is 020 7008 1500. So we will put those details there.
Yeah.
If anybody finds themselves in that situation, you can call that number, or you can contact me and I will help you with it, because you can apply to the court for protection.
Okay.
A forced marriage order. You can apply for protection
Okay.
to not have to get married.
Okay.
And it does go on
That's before marriage.
before marriage.
Okay.
It does happen an awful lot.
Yeah. Yeah. You read
More
about
than we
it, don't
think,
you?
because people
Yeah.
don't want to talk
No,
about it.
and I can understand
And there's
that.
been
but-
TV programs about
Yeah.
it, documentaries about it. So I think that's really important message
Yeah.
to get across.
One question.
Yes?
Sorry. Keep saying one question. Is there a time limit from the date of the marriage to applying to have the
12
marriage
months.
annulled? Is it within 12 months?
12 months.
So after 12 months, it would have to be a divorce?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. For divorce, to get divorced, so obviously you've got married, now you're moving on, you want to get divorced, as it happens. You have to be married for a year.
Yeah.
Because people will sometimes come to me, oh, I got married 6 months ago, I want to get divorced, I want a quicker divorce, they'll say. You have to be married for 1 year before you can start the divorce process.
Okay.
There's no get out of jail free card, there's no exemptions, apart from getting annulled.
I'm going to say unless you fit into that category.
Yes,
Yeah.
you have to be married for 1 year. The criteria is that the relationship has to have been permanently broken down.
Okay. Used to be irretrievably broken down.
Irretrievably, permanently broken down.
Yeah.
And it has to be a legally recognised marriage.
Okay.
They're the criteria for divorce, because we have the no-fault divorce.
Yeah.
Prior to that, there was the ground. You had to have a ground to
Yeah.
get divorced. So like unreasonable behaviour, adultery, desertion, 2 years separation with consent, or 5 years separation. You just have to fit into one of those grounds. But now we don't have that. So that's
At all?
At all.
Okay.
Don't have those
So you
at
don't have to
all.
plead those grounds. You can just
No.
say, I don't want to be with that
You
person.
it has to be that the relationship, the marriage is permanently
Yeah.
broken down. That's it. You
Okay.
don't need the other person's consent to get
That's a
divorced.
massive thing, isn't it?
It is.
That's a massive thing.
The reason for the change, and it happened in April 22, the reason for the change is because if you imagine, say you've been married 5, 10, 20 years or whatever it is, and you've been in an abusive relationship or whatever the problems are going on, you then have to cite those
Yeah.
reasons in the divorce, what used to be a divorce petition, and you have to blame the other person, which a lot of people want to do, but it's bringing it all up
It is
again.
bringing it, and it's poking the
Yeah.
hornet's nest,
Or
isn't it?
sometimes you've got an elderly couple who they've just fallen out of love with one another, or anybody actually. They've just fallen out of love with one another. They want to get divorced. They're both consenting to the divorce. They just want to move on.
Yeah.
Imagine then having to find a ground,
Yeah.
having to find a reason.
Yeah.
So, us family lawyers, we're so happy that these
Yeah.
reforms have come
Yeah.
into force. A lot of people still want to blame the other
Yeah.
person.
I think that is a common
Yes.
in litigation as well. It's their fault. I want them my day
Yeah.
in court. I
So,
want
like, if
them
it's
to
had an
pay.
affair
Yeah.
or whatever, they want
Yeah.
to blame them.
Which
But
is understandable.
it is.
It's not necessary in terms of bringing the marriage to an end.
No. So you have to be married for a year. You don't need to blame anybody anymore. The ground is that the marriage is irretrievably broken down. You cannot contest a divorce. So you cannot say, I don't want to get
Oh,
divorced.
okay.
The only way you can contest the divorce is, for example, if there's jurisdiction issues. So I do have a few of those cases
Okay.
where one person has decided to get divorced in another country.
Right.
So say, for example, one person thinks, well, I'm living in, I don't know, India, for example. I want to get divorced in India. The other person is living in the UK. Well, I want to get divorced in the UK. The reasons
Yeah.
they would do that is because it's their location where they live, but also different countries have different ways of dealing with the financial aspects.
Okay.
So there could be a benefit to one person getting divorced in one country rather than getting divorced in the UK.
Right. So why doesn't it happen? So if you get married in India, why doesn't the divorce have to happen in India? And if you get married in the UK, why doesn't the divorce have to happen in
It's
the
where
UK?
you're living.
Okay. So it's your
So again, that's
domicile, is
another
it, as
topic.
opposed
So
to
it's to do with domicile.
yeah.
You could have domicile of choice and all of those sorts of things. So it's to
Oh.
do with that. So wherever you're getting married, you will want to get divorced in that country.
Yeah.
You don't have to get divorced in where you got married.
Yeah.
But
You
like
live
I
in
say,
there.
they can't. So like, we'll take America as an example. America, as far as I'm aware, is straight 50-50 on the finances. As
Okay.
in the UK, there's a discretion and there's
Yeah.
lots of other factors that come into play. Some countries will say prenuptial agreements are legally binding. They're not in the UK. So there could be a financial advantage for
Okay.
getting divorced in another country. The person that doesn't want that advantage will want to get divorced in the UK.
Right. So who decides where?
So that's where the jurisdiction lies. So at the moment, I've got a few cases where the jurisdiction is disputed.
Okay.
So basically, it will be, to begin with, it will be first come, first served.
Okay.
That isn't the full stop. So if you've got one person that gets applies for a divorce in one country in, say, January, then the other person applies in March, what they'll do is say the country that's first
Yeah.
taken that divorce, they will look at whether they have the jurisdiction to deal with that divorce. So do they live in that country and whatever their specific criteria is. So in the UK, you have to be living in this country
Okay.
to get divorced in this country. So they will apply the facts and then they will say either we have jurisdiction or we don't. The UK will then say, we'll place your divorce on hold while that
Okay.
country decides, and then give them a certain time to decide, because some countries take forever,
Yeah.
long time. And then UK will then say, we'll place your divorce on hold while that country decides if they've got jurisdiction or not,
Right.
or the other way round.
Gosh.
So that's the only way you can contest a divorce is if there's a jurisdiction issue.
Okay.
You can't contest a divorce at any other reason. The only other thing you can do is try to delay the divorce.
Okay.
So when you you have two choices. You can issue jointly a divorce application together.
Yeah.
So you're both the applicants.
Okay.
And you do it together, and that's usually happens if you both consent to the divorce.
Yeah.
You both say, yes, we accept the divorce is broken down. The process
Yeah.
is the same, very, very similar. the time frame is very, very similar, but
Okay.
you do it together.
Yeah.
The other option is if one person wants to get divorced but the other doesn't, you do a sole divorce application.
Yeah.
So you issue your sole divorce application. The other person then has to respond.
Yeah.
If they don't respond, because all they're doing is saying to the court, yes, I've received the divorce
Yeah.
application, there are no grounds to jurisdiction
Yeah.
to defend it, then it proceeds.
Right.
If that person doesn't respond,
Yeah.
the divorce cannot continue. So what you have to do then is you have to arrange to personally serve
Oh God.
the respondent with a divorce application. So what that involves is a process server physically hand delivering
Yeah.
that divorce application. The process server then does a statement of service, say the date and time this person was served. They either identify themselves or I have a photograph to identify them. They do their statement of service, then the divorce can proceed.
Right. Okay.
You then have your 20-week holding period where nothing happens.
Okay.
And then during that time, the idea is that you sort out the children and the finances, and then you can apply for the conditional order,
Okay.
which used to be the decree nisi. And then 6 weeks and 1 day after that, you apply for the final divorce order.
Right. So there's no decree nisi and decree absolute.
No, it's conditional order and final order.
Okay.
Take a breath now. So that's marriage and divorce.
Okay. Very interesting because I obviously I've dealt with divorce if you like, but I haven't actually practiced ever in family law, and back in my study days it was all the grounds,
Yeah,
you say misbehaviour, etc.
yeah,
I thought they were still there, but you can get a no fault divorce.
right.
But obviously that's not the case. Yeah, and obviously the decree nisi, decree absolute, that's what it was in my day.
Yeah. People still use that terminology now.
And I think that going back to what I was talking about with the studying, and the fact that we have to do continual professional development. So obviously those changes that happen in your area of law obviously affect the way that you work, the way that you advise clients and stuff. And it just shows that you need to get that specialist lawyer.
Yeah.
There's no point in trying to DIY, or I have a lot of clients, no, that's wrong. A wrong thing to say. I've had some clients who have said, "Well, my friend's
Oh, yeah.
cousin is a barrister or is a solicitor, and they say my case is worth X amount." Okay, well, what do they practice in? Conveyancing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like it's impossible for a lawyer to know everything about every area of law.
Absolutely.
So get the specialist.
Yeah.
And get the right advice.
Yeah, because you do have solicitors, lawyers that do
Yeah.
different areas, but I've never done that because
No.
I don't think you can do it to the best of your
No,
ability.
absolutely not.
And even now, we still don't know everything.
No.
We're still learning, and that's why we have experts to help us.
Yeah, and barristers. And,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, that's really interesting. So every day's a learning day, as they say. Just repeat that number again for our listeners. If
For the
you
forced marriage.
If there's
So Monday to Friday, 9 till 5, it is 020 7008 0151. And then out of hours is 020 7008 1500.
okay, or alternatively, they can contact you.
Contact me and I'll pass you on those details
Okay.
because I think it's really, really important.
Yeah. Okay.
Just one thing to add on, which I forgot to make a note of. The court fees are changing.
Okay.
So for
That's soon, isn't it?
Yeah, 13th of July. So if you are thinking about getting divorced, try and do it before the 13th of July. It's not a massive.
Out, mate.
It's honestly, it's not a massive increase, but it goes from £612 to £628.
Okay.
Every penny counts in this day and age.
Okay. And what happens? I don't know whether this will come later in your discussion, but what happens in terms of the fees? Who pays the fees?
Whoever applies.
Okay, so you can't claim costs from the other side.
Well, so the idea is that you're the applicant, so you pay the court fee because you pay the court fee at the time you submit your application. You could agree, if it's an amicable divorce, you could agree that you'll pay half each, but it's the person that's applying who physically pays for it. You can apply to the court for fee exemption.
Yeah.
That's subject to your income. So the court will do that assessment. You have to give them the information and then they will tell you either you can be exempt from the court fee or you can
Okay,
be
reduce.
partially exempt
Yeah,
from the court fee.
yeah, similar to litigation again.
Yeah.
So,
You can't get legal aid for divorce. People always ask that.
okay,
You can get legal aid for certain aspects of family law if there is evidence of domestic abuse.
okay,
But again, that's another topic.
yeah,
And I don't deal with legal aid.
okay. Wow. I mean, as you said at the start, that's a whole other topic, and I think in both our areas that you could literally there are so many individual separate considerations, aren't there?
Yes. We
Um,
just don't have the time.
yeah. I think again this is going to lead back to the new, not necessarily the new format, but our focus on the law. So I think what we've decided is that we're going to sort of niche down, so you'll have a more in-depth discussion about
Yeah.
some of those
And I
areas.
think the way to make it easy to understand is to give actual
Yeah,
examples where we can,
yeah,
because I think that resonates
yes,
more. I know it does for me when I'm learning to
yeah,
get examples of
yeah,
things. So we'll do that where we can.
definitely, definitely.
Yes.
So have you heard about the recent it's called the Ockenden Review
Don't
2026.
know the name for it, but
So it is
yeah.
because it was Diane Ockenden that did the review. She was a senior
Ah,
midwife, or
okay.
she is a senior midwife. And it was an investigation into the maternity services at Nottingham University Hospital's NHS Trust. Now, she did a similar review for another trust, I think it was 22 or something like that. But this was, it's been in the news recently. And following this, there's also been a similar investigation in relation to University Hospitals of Leicester.
Oh, okay.
And they're calling for an independent review. But I just wanted to sort of touch upon, because this is the sort of thing that sits under the umbrella of clinical negligence. So the review, it was the largest review in history. It involved 2,505 cases,
Wow.
involving 2,430 families between 2006 and 2025. Um, and it was as a result of there being an unusual, a high level of incidents involving maternity care, high level of deaths. And it's taken, I mean, I say from 2006, it's taken a lot of
Wow.
work, etc. And essentially, the report found, and I'll quote here, some serious and disastrously deficient care across pregnancy, labour, and postnatal periods. 156 babies could have survived
Joke.
with better care.
Jesus.
But you imagine,
Wow.
I mean, I can't imagine the feeling. So these, um, a lot of these babies were born at term. There were no issues, etc. But it was the aftercare, um, care during labour, or lack of care during labour. So you go into hospital to have this baby,
So sad.
go home with
So
empty
sad.
arms, and mothers have died. It is
Wow.
absolutely
It's horrendous,
shocking.
isn't it? In this day and
Yeah, we're in
age.
2026. The review also found that there were hundreds of avoidable harm, including stillbirths, brain injuries. One of the biggest aspects of birth injuries is a brain injury. So that can occur when baby shows signs of distress, but no action is taken to deliver baby quickly, and they develop cerebral palsy. So that's where there's a brain injury. It affects various aspects of the child's health. It can be where the correct care isn't given to the mum. So, for example, high blood pressure, preeclampsia, that sort of thing, and baby's not delivered quickly enough. So yeah, there's a high level of claims that are relating to brain injuries caused during birth. And they are very difficult to prove, because sometimes those brain injuries happen whilst baby's inside, and it's nobody's fault. But you have to get the neurological evidence to determine when that brain injury occurred, whether it was whilst mum was pregnant, whether it was during labour or whether it was during a delivery. And the expert has to pinpoint when that particular injury
So
occurred and then whether it was avoidable.
I get for a baby that's died, that would be a post-mortem.
Yeah.
But what about babies that are alive?
So that would involve the neurological investigations, such as scans and that sort of thing. And the experts can determine what type of brain injury it is and look at the maternity records and the records in terms of when delivery. Look at the CTG, so the heart trace of the baby, whether there's accelerations or decelerations, showing that the baby was in distress. Whether prompt action was taken. So when those signs of distress were identified, what action was taken? Was the emergency call made? How long did it take for the consultant to get to the patient, etc.? So they look at all the facts. Hindsight's a wonderful thing,
Yeah.
but they have to look at what actually happened and what should have happened, and whether the outcome would have been different. So it's all medical science in terms of when that particular brain injury occurred.
I remember when I was doing my personal injury studies,
Yeah.
part of the degree.
Oh, right, yeah.
Never done a seat in it. And is it something, but it's probably different, something to do with what the man on the Clapham omnibus
Yeah.
bus would
What the
think.
reasonable man, yeah.
Yeah, but is
Yeah.
that just personal injury though?
So, no, so
That's
it's a similar standard when you're dealing with experts and consultants and doctors and things. It's basically what would a reasonable body of doctors, consultants
right.
in that position have done. So if a reasonable, so for example, if you had an irregular trace on a heart monitor, would a reasonable and competent midwife have called for help,
Right.
or is there a body that would say, actually, we're not too worried at the moment, we'll keep an eye on it? So was it reasonable for them to do that? Or was it absolutely that no reasonable midwife would have done what this midwife in this particular circumstance
Did it come
did?
down to a lack of training then? Is that what it was?
So,
Sorry,
yeah,
jumping
no,
ahead.
no. So the review also found that there were systematic failures in staffing, so lack of staff, training, culture, bullying, intimidation, and cover-ups.
Bullying.
Yeah, yeah. And there was criticism at board level in terms of policies and procedure, failures in making sure that there were enough staff available, that they had the correct training, that there was an open door policy in terms of if you've got any concerns, come and see us. Yeah, and bullying and intimidation. So,
Wow.
um, and one that kind of makes me really, really sad is a failure to listen to women and
Yeah.
families.
Yeah.
You know your own body.
Yeah.
It might be your first pregnancy, but you know if something doesn't feel right. You know if there's something that doesn't quite sit
Mm.
comfortably, if you've got a
Mm.
strange pain or if you're feeling unwell or whatever, just listen to those families. And this goes across the board of every single clinical negligence claim I've dealt with. I told them, I said this. Sometimes it's a case of, well, if you go to your doctor and say you've had a headache for 3 days, they're not automatically going to think you've got a brain tumour, So sometimes it's putting it into context. But the fact that families and women were raising concerns about their health and their baby's health, and they weren't listened to.
But why? Why were they not listened to? The Coronation Street did a storyline about
Of
that.
course they did.
They did. There's just a storyline where I can't remember the details, but she wasn't listened to. She kept saying something was wrong
Yeah.
and all of this line. They just didn't listen to her,
Mm.
and it caused a medical
Yeah.
problem. Thankfully, the baby was in the storyline. The baby was okay, but yeah, I remember now. My son. I used to live in Nottingham. My son was born in 1990,
Right.
so pre that. And I was in labour with him for 24 hours. And then they said, okay, your baby's going into distress. They whipped me straight down, C-section, and
Okay.
he was fine.
Yeah.
But that was because he was in distress.
Yeah.
I've just remember when you
Yeah.
said that, it reminded
Yeah.
me of that. So if they didn't
So
take that action, wow.
no. So it's shocking, isn't
It
it?
really
It is
is.
shocking.
It really is.
And from a litigation point of view, this, whilst it's not a straightforward, well, everybody that's been affected and has been taken into account on this review has a viable claim. It's all specific to that
Yeah,
particular
of course.
situation.
Yeah.
But this review shows that there's clear evidence of breach of duty. You know, that the trust has a duty to each of those patients. Um, Clear avoidable harm. So, you know, the fact that 156 babies could have survived but for the failures. And there's clear evidence of systemic negligence. You know, so from a clinical negligence point of view, that strengthens the argument around governance and failures, inadequate staffing, and flawed investigations. And if you're dealing with a case of this nature, so part of the process of dealing with a clinical negligence claim is to request medical records. You look at those records, the expert looks at those records and paints a picture basically of what happened, and then looks at, well, is what happened reasonable? Should something else have been done? The fact that this review has revealed what it's revealed, I think should lead to a more detailed review of those records, ask for further disclosure in terms of who was on duty, how long had the baby not been on duty, what other ladies were in labour at the time, or,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and get a full picture rather than just the information that's contained within that patient's medical records. Look beyond that,
Yeah. Yeah.
and look for the reason as to why there was a 30-minute delay in getting the consultant to see the patient. Were they elsewhere? Was there anyone else on call? Um, Look for when there's been an incident in the treatment of a patient, there should normally be an internal investigation. So request that. Look at what their own findings were. There's a lot of telltale information within those investigation reports, that can tell you those things, like, you know, who was called at what time. If it's a C-section, what time was knife to skin, and how long after that was the baby delivered, what condition was the baby in. So just get all of that information. The more information that we can get to give to the expert, the more detailed that report and more accurate that report can be. Because whenever you deal with a claim of this nature, unless there's a straight out admission of liability, you have a case of the claimant has an expert, let's say in obstetrics and gynecology, the defendant, the trust, will have an expert. And if there is a difference of opinion, you then obviously have a battle on your hand.
Mm.
It's not always clear cut. You know, sometimes it is, and sometimes you present your letter of claim with your evidence to the trust and they hands up, particularly when there's been an internal investigation. That tends to be the minority. So the majority of cases against GPs, trusts, etc., are denied. So the focus has to be on front loading the case in terms of getting all the evidence, um, and that goes to managing the client's expectations in terms of, you know, we will probably investigate this case for 6 months before we get all of the evidence together to be able to say to you, yes, there's evidence of
Yeah.
breach of duty, or no, there isn't.
So a couple of questions.
Yeah. Mm.
So if you request these the medical records, do the hospital ever turn around and just ignore you or say no?
They can't. So
Do they though?
sometimes there's a delay. I've never had a trust that said no, or a GP surgery or whatever has said no. The patient has the right; it's their records.
Mm.
Sometimes there's a delay. Like, I've got one trust at the moment. I submitted a request for medical records in March of this year. Chased them last week, and they have a backlog, and they're dealing with requests that were received in December.
Wow.
So they do have a massive backlog. Again, that could be due to staffing. It could just be due to the amount of claims that, you know, requests that they're receiving. You can make an application to the court for specific disclosure against either a party or a non-party if there is an unreasonable delay. But if they're engaging with you and they're giving you a reason, then
Yeah.
obviously you can be a little bit more lenient. But that adds to the client's distress.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
the fact that we're not able to investigate or tell them whether they have a claim or
So I
not, a
suppose they would
potential
come to
claim.
you, they would say, "This has happened," and they would expect you to say, "Yeah,
Sure.
yes, I've got a claim.
Yeah.
Yes,
All
you've
I
got a
could
claim."
say at the time is that essentially either you have a claim that or the circumstances suggest that there is a potential claim there and
Yeah,
they should investigate,
yeah.
or absolutely not. You know, we can't deal with that. And sometimes it's obvious, sometimes not so.
And I'm just thinking there's a time frame, isn't there?
Yeah, so you have 3 years from the date that you knew or ought to have known of circumstances giving rise to a claim.
So I was thinking about that review then. So if that went back to 2006 and say something happened in 2008, you did nothing about it, but you could now then bring the claim because of this
Yes.
review.
Yeah.
Right,
So
okay.
I think just a caveat on that, obviously, if it's a child, so if you're claiming, let's say, for a brain injury that occurred as a result of negligence, um, then if it's a brain injured individual, then and they don't have capacity, they're never likely to have capacity, then there's no limitation.
Oh,
And
really?
a child who has, well, potentially has capacity, it's to their 21st birthday.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Okay.
But so the adult would bring the claim though, wouldn't they, for that child?
Yeah, so the child would need a litigation friend, and that's usually the mum or the dad.
They
Um,
can bring that claim at any time if there's no capacity.
yes.
Why is that though? Because
Be because the individual
yeah.
doesn't have the understanding, the capacity to say, "Something's gone wrong, and I need to be able to claim." And it could be, for example, in a brain injured child, it could be this child was born in 2006. Um, I mean, it would still be within it was the 21st birthday. But for example, a child born in 2000 um, and has obviously got a significant brain injury could be 25, 26 now.
Mm.
And it might be that they've only just learnt that actually the reason for your brain injury is because of what happened during birth. And so it would be unfair for that person who doesn't have capacity to be prevented from bringing a claim.
But I'm just thinking in that scenario, so mum gives birth, um, child is born with a brain
Yeah.
damage of some kind. They know that it's due to lack of care or whatever it is, but they do nothing. Surely there should be a time frame on that because they knew about it at the time.
Yeah, no, there's not because the claim is on behalf of the
Child.
injured person, not
Yeah.
the mother.
Mm.
And the parents' focus is going to be on we have this child, we love this child has additional needs, and we need to look after this child. And it could be, understandably, that their immediate focus isn't on I want to claim.
I'm going to speak to you privately after this then about
Okay.
someone I know about that then.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, right. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you want to carry on about your family law?
Gosh, yes. So following on, obviously, dealt with marriage, then we dealt with divorce.
Yeah.
So first two topics. So when you get divorced, you want to deal with the finances, usually, assuming there's finances to deal with. So you can have what's called a property adjustment order,
Okay.
which is basically you have a house. You can either have an order for the house to be sold and then you split the proceeds, or you
Yeah.
can do a transfer where
Yeah.
the house gets transferred from joint names into one person's sole name. So they're
Yeah.
the property adjustment orders. You can have lump sum orders,
Okay.
which is by virtue of it is what it says on the tin, is
Yeah.
a lump sum. That could be from savings, it could be from in relation to the house. If you're transferring a joint house to one person, look at what equity is in the property, and then they would buy out your interest. So they would give you a lump sum.
Okay.
It could be from the equity in the property, it could be from the savings, it could be from the business asset, it could be from anything. You can have, when you deal with pensions, you can have pension sharing orders,
Okay.
or you can do offsetting. You used to have pension earmarking, but you don't have that anymore.
Okay.
So I won't bother talking about that.
Okay.
So a pension sharing order is, I'll try and give you an easy example. You have got two people who've got pensions and they're X pension is worth 100,000, B pension is worth 50,000.
Yeah.
Add together as 150. Divide it down the middle as 75,000 each.
Yeah.
Take off the person's 50,000 existing pension,
Yeah.
means they have a shortfall of 25,000.
Yeah.
You then work out what the percentage is of the person with 100,000,
Yeah.
which is obviously 25%.
Yeah.
And then you transfer 25% of that person's pension into the other person's pension.
Right. Okay.
So that's a pension sharing order.
Yeah.
You don't have to wait until the person you're getting from the pension from to retire,
Okay.
because you've already taken that percentage and you've invested it in your pension.
Okay.
So you can access that your pension at the pension
Okay.
age, which at the moment is 25, or when you retire.
25.
Sorry, 55,
Gonna say.
55,
Yeah.
55, or when you retire. So that's
Yeah.
pension sharing orders.
Okay.
Pension offsetting.
Yeah.
I always say it's very case specific. So younger people aren't too worried about pensions.
Yeah.
They want the capital, they want the housing sorted. If you're older, the pension become more important to you, because with pensions, the idea of a pension is that it's additional income for when you retire.
Yeah.
So you imagine you've taken that percentage of that pension, you've invested it in your own pension, you can then draw an annuity from that pension.
Okay.
So it's an income from
Yeah.
that pension. So it depends where you are, what your priorities are. You can do offsetting. So offsetting would be more for the younger people, I
Okay.
would say.
Yeah.
So if, for example, we identify that person A is going to be getting all of the house has been transferred to person A, instead of person B then taking a lump sum from the equity in share,
Yeah.
they could get more of the pension.
Okay.
So instead of getting, say, 50% of the equity and then 50% of the pension, they could say, well, I'll leave the equity, I'll take 75% of the
Okay.
pension,
Yeah.
or whatever the figures are. And then you have more pension, or you have more of the capital,
Yeah.
depending on what you're offsetting, depending
Okay.
on what your needs are. So they're two separate things.
Okay.
You can have periodical payments.
Yeah.
So that is where, say, for example, one person is earning more than the other person, and they have been financially supporting, we'll say the wife, for example. The
Yeah.
husband is financially supporting the wife. They can continue to do that.
Right.
So that would be a specific payment
Yeah.
for a specific amount of time.
Okay.
And that could be for a top up on the child maintenance, for example.
Yeah.
That's separate.
Yeah.
You can have spousal maintenance,
Okay.
which is similar to periodical
Yeah.
payments, but it's specifically to do with allowing the financially vulnerable person time to become financially independent.
Okay.
So, for example, if they had a career and they stopped that career to raise the children,
Yeah.
they need time to be retrained, or if they've not worked, they need time to get a job. And that's where there has to be a disparity in income.
Yeah.
And the
Okay.
person who's going to be paying the spousal maintenance has to be able to afford to pay the spousal maintenance. So we would look at both of their incomes, both of their outgoings, see what disposable income there is, see what shortfall there is, see what standard of living they've had during the marriage, to identify how much spousal maintenance is due and how long for.
Okay.
So it's not that it would be for 20 years.
Yeah.
It's
'Cause
usually
that would
for
be
a short period of
unreasonable,
time.
wouldn't it? It
You
would
used
be
to get that years
yeah.
ago. You used to have a joint life's order.
I can imagine that would be a huge burden and quite difficult for future relationships as well. Not that
Yeah.
that should be a bar to supporting the family of whichever spouse.
It can be difficult because the idea is that the court prefer clean breaks where
Yes.
there's no spousal
Yeah.
maintenance. But also with spousal maintenance, there comes a risk. So, for example, the person paying, they could lose their job. They
Yeah.
could become
So
redundant.
what happens then? Do they have to make an application?
Yeah. They would have to
Okay.
make an application to stop that spousal
Right.
maintenance.
Okay.
Or the person receiving the money, their circumstances may change
Yeah.
and they may need more money. So you can apply to the court to vary that spousal
Okay.
maintenance.
What if that person gets married again or lives with somebody else or gets a job that is like pays 100 grand a year?
Well, that's where you look at how you draft the consent order.
Okay.
And that comes again to getting that legal advice. So,
Yeah.
as I say, the idea of spousal maintenance, it is only for a short period of
Okay.
time. It's
Yeah.
not, nowadays, it isn't for, used to be forever. You could have a spousal maintenance order until you die.
Yeah.
You used to have that.
Yeah.
But you don't really get that. It's very rare that you get that now.
Okay.
So you build in those factors. If you get remarried, again, that's a whole another topic as well.
Yeah.
There's different things that come with that. To decide how you're dealing with the finances, there's a few options. You could either reach your own agreement. So if you're amicable and you say, okay, well, this is what we've got, this is how we're dividing the assets. So you go to your solicitor and say, okay, this is what we've agreed. The solicitor would then draft it into a consent order.
Okay.
Or if you're not sure what the division of assets should be and you want legal advice or there is no agreement, you would then go through the process with the solicitors of financial disclosure.
Okay.
So what that means is you're exchanging your financial information. The solicitor would look at both sets of information, ages, children, needs, all different things, the specific factors that we look at. And then we say, okay, well, in this particular case, this is what I would suggest is a reasonable settlement.
Right.
And then you get that advice. You enter into your negotiations with the idea of reaching an agreement to get the consent order.
Okay.
So that's the other process.
I mean, this is a massive.
Massive.
So I referred somebody to you quite recently. They'd done a DIY divorce. They'd agreed between them that they were going to sell the property, split the proceeds 50-50, and then that was that. Then this person said that they were now looking to buy another house with their new partner. Is there any way that the ex can claim? And
I said yes.
yeah, absolutely. So you think, and that's because there was no
consent order, no financial order.
Financial orders basically saying, and I guess they could have gone to the court and said, this is what we've agreed, we both signed it. That would be completely different to the fact that they've agreed it, but nothing's documented.
Yeah. So without your clean break order, that's the important terminology, is the clean break order. Without the clean break order, you always have a claim.
Okay.
So, and the way I explained it was you're selling your property, you're getting X amount from that matrimonial home.
Yeah.
You're then investing that money into a new property.
Yeah.
So all you're doing is changing,
moving
the money. You're changing where it's not in a bank, it's in a property.
Yeah.
That is still matrimonial money in that property. So you need that clean break.
Okay.
It's absolutely abundantly clear. You have to have a clean break order.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you will always have claims.
Okay.
And again, depending on your circumstances, you may think, oh, yeah, that's okay. I haven't got anything.
Yeah.
But
you might have in the future.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And these examples are a lottery win.
Yeah.
It's slightly different, but you've still
but
come into money and you haven't got that clean break order. You can obviously do mediation.
Yeah.
So that's another option. It can either be alongside your financial disclosure with solicitors, or it could be before. So the idea of mediation is that you go to see a family mediator, independent person, you discuss this situation, and the mediator tries to help you reach an agreement.
Okay.
If you are able to reach an agreement, you then have that written up into the clean break order.
Okay.
So that's the other option. On a note on that, the court fees for the financial application are increasing on the 13th of July.
Yeah.
From £313 to £321.
Okay. So not massive increase,
no,
but significant.
Every penny helps.
Wow.
So that's at the moment, that's your marriage, divorce, and your finances.
Okay. And you've covered it in, I don't know, let's say a half an hour in total, but that's just touching the surface, isn't it?
Because every case is very specific.
Yeah.
It's like you said earlier, my mate down the pub, he said, I'll get this, or he got that. But it's just, honestly, it's so case specific.
Yeah.
And
really you don't know, in that situation, you don't know what that settlement involved. There might have been a future loss of earnings. The guy might have been on 100 grand a year, for example.
Yeah.
Whereas this client might be unemployed.
Yeah.
So
many different factors.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
If you have children with special needs, you could have all sorts of things.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I was going to talk about the structure of how a claim proceeds, but I think we've talked enough. I think, and we'll save that
Do that for another day.
Another day, yeah.
I know my voice is going hoarse.
So, we wanted to talk about just very briefly about a campaign that we are launching for season 3.
Yes.
You talk about
Well, we give these goodie bags, don't we, to our guests? We started doing this, I can't remember when, a while ago now.
Yeah.
So inside the bag, ooh, look what's in there. Lots of fun things. So we give these goodie bags out to all of our guests, don't we?
Yeah.
And they love them. Our guests love them.
Yeah, they do.
So the campaign is basically between now and our live on the 8th of October.
Yeah.
Is that we want you to take your pictures of where you are with this bag.
Yeah.
It could be anywhere. It could be random places. It could be exotic places. It could be funny places. Could be anywhere. Send us the pictures with your bag. And have we got the tagline?
We want people to put it on. So it's not just our guests. But if anyone wants a bag, reach out to us.
Yes.
We'll send you a bag. They're free of charge.
Free of charge.
Yeah. Won't be a goodie bag, but we'll send you a bag. And we want you to tag us on social media, and the hashtag, I think,
have we chosen one?
I think it was the Lawfully Yours on tour.
Let's have a look.
Hashtag Lawfully Yours on tour. So you have to tag us on Instagram or TikTok. We are at Lawfully Yours Pod. And you have to put the hashtag Lawfully Yours on tour. So if you want one of these bags, email us at lawfullyyourspod@gmail.com or reach out personally to Geraldine or I. And get taking your pickies.
Yes, and then on the 8th of October, we will announce what we think is the...
We'll pick a winner at random. Yeah. So we'll have various criteria.
And there will be a prize.
There will be a prize.
Yes.
I don't think we've decided what the prize is going to be.
No.
But we're not stingy, are we?
No, we're not stingy.
We are
by
quite
far.
generous with
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe what we could do is, could we let the winner know before so they can come as a guest?
Yeah, that'd be a good idea. And then we could present them with
their prize.
Yeah, if they're...
Well, depending on where they are.
Yeah. Because obviously our reach is far beyond Leicester and
so if you go on holiday... I mean, it's a brilliant bag, isn't it?
It's cool.
I feel like I'm on that shopping channel. The shopping channel.
I'm thinking Bridget Jones, the mother, when she goes on the shopping channel.
That's it. It's a lovely bag. Look how big it is. You can fit lots of the good quality.
Very sturdy. And you've got a caricature, is that what you call it?
Caricature.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yes, taking your snaps.
Yeah.
Lawfully Yours on tour.
Yeah. Hashtag Lawfully Yours on tour, and make sure you tag us Lawfully Yours.
And we will announce the winner. It's exciting.
That's the end of episode 1, season 3. Can't wait for you to join us for our future episodes.
Today.
Oh my gosh.
Only a quick one, though.
She's got a quick thought for
it's
today.
A really,
she
really
didn't have
quick
a jazzer,
one.
But she's got a quick thought.
It's a really quick one. So, missing one train doesn't mean you are going nowhere. It can bring new opportunities, better things, your future. And it reminded me of the film Sliding Doors.
I've never seen it.
You haven't?
I haven't seen it. I've read a book that is of a similar...
You have to watch it. It's a brilliant film. I rewatched it the other day.
Okay.
Brilliant film. So it reminded me of that. So just because something like that happens, like you miss the train, you miss the bus or whatever it is,
goes wrong,
it doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. It just opens up new doors.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. Well, thank you to all our listeners. Yes. Don't forget, we're on all your platforms where you listen to your podcast. So Amazon, Spotify. Apple. We're also on YouTube, so you can look at our beautiful faces. And don't forget, we're looking for your questions, your ideas for the pod.
You want to be a guest?
Yeah, absolutely. Email is lawfullyyourspod@gmail.com. But for now, I've been Vickki Ridgway.
And I've been Geraldine Watson.
And together we've been
Lawfully Yours.